Hello, Carrie.
How are you?
I'm doing really well because tomorrow is my last day with kids at school.
Yeah. I still got another 2 weeks.
It's a good day and it's a sad day.
It is, because you have good news, right?
I do have good news. I accepted a position as an assistant principal at a new school district. And so while I am very excited that school is ending, I am also sad to leave these students that I've been with. And I'm excited, though, to go meet my new teachers, my new students, everything. So yeah, good news, sad tomorrow, happy tomorrow, all the emotions. And I've already had all of the emotions.
So exciting. I know. As soon as you told me the news, I was like, I got on FaceTime and I was crying for you because I was so happy because it's been such a journey.
It has been a journey, and this is a really good fit. I'm so excited to join this new school, and I think it's going to be a really good experience. So
I'm very, very excited for you.
yes. And how much longer do you have for school?
You just like to rub it in, and then tomorrow after you're done, you'll wake up on Friday and you'll say, "Oh, Carrie, what are you doing?" And I'll be like, "I'm at school on an institute day." "Oh, well, I slept in, Carrie." "Oh, you slept in." But
Well,
anyways,
that will be Monday because Friday I have to go in and turn in my keys and turn in my laptop and,
yes,
all that stuff for the very last time. But the Monday, I'll be like, "Hey, Carrie, what are you doing?"
Well, on Monday, I'm also off because it's Memorial Day.
Oh, that's right. So Tuesday.
Yeah, and I'll be like, "I'm on a field trip." Great America all day.
I know.
It'll be fun. It's fun.
It is fun. Yes. So
Tonight,
we have with us an amazing guest. I can't wait. We have with us Pav Wander tonight, and she shares her talents in many ways. She's an educator, an author, a podcast host, and she has taught in the same Canadian neighborhood where she grew up and attended school, which I think is really, really cool. Pav loves to be active and earned her degree in Kinesiology and Health Science from York University in Toronto and her teaching certification in Buffalo, New York. Pav loves to encourage students in the field of STEM and incorporates these activities in classroom activities. Pav has shared on 2 podcasts, most recently, the Chey Pav Show. She is also the author of The Magnificent Microphone with Chey. And it's a really cute book. I went and checked it out. I'd never seen it before, and it's adorable.
yes.
Pav has so many wonderful experiences, and I'm excited that we get to doodle and chat all about her tonight and hear more about those experiences.
Here we go. Hello, Pav.
Hello, Carrie. Hello, Mandy. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to doodle and chat with you both.
We're so excited that you're here with us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So this is your first time being on our show. And for anybody else who's here and is with us or joining us later, it's new. We have with us the bowl that knows. And in the bowl that knows, it has many special questions written just for Pav. And then there's a few in here that are random ones that even Mandy and I don't know. And so we're going to turn our cameras on so that friends can see us doodling as we're chatting with you. And we're going to pull from the bowl that knows and see what it has in store for us tonight.
Amazing. I'm very, very excited. And I did want to say, Mandy, congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
And it must be very, very exciting. And I was very excited to hear about it as well. I know it's difficult leaving your group of students, difficult leaving a space where you have been, but I'm sure you've got some amazing things on the horizon and you're very excited. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Mandy, we didn't set up your camera.
Oh,
for drawing.
My camera's on.
Is it?
And logged in.
I did not see it.
Well, let me try it again. Maybe I didn't log into, well, how about I say enter studio? That would, I actually entered the studio though, because I set my camera up, but that's okay. You can see my face on two.
I could turn it on and make it extra fun.
See me. Okay, so things did get stuck, so let's do this again. Listen, like I said, we just roll with things here. It's a classy
Totally cool. Totally cool. I know all about the tech issues that can come with, doing any kind of recording. So,
Oh my gosh.
It's good. You're on, Andy.
It's sideways though.
amazing.
That's okay. Well, let me take it apart again. All right. Do you have me muted? My phone muted?
You mean you right now, or the camera, or
No,
your
my camera, because it gets all wacky on me sometimes. There we go. Now am I right?
I'm loving it.
we just can't make it up.
This is authenticity.
It really
what
is.
It is.
Okay.
It's great.
We did it. Okay.
Pav is so wonderful. You're so authentic. We'll just call it that, you know?
That's right.
It's so much better than a hot mess.
People that tune in are like, yeah, this is about right.
I love it. I got to make sure that I am paying attention to the questions and not just watching you two draw, because I can get lost in that.
You're so sweet.
I'm going to try to doodle along with you both, but doodling is not my forte. So I'll do my best.
Awesome. We love that. All right. We are minus the producer last night, who is my sophomore daughter.
Okay.
She's working on an English speech. Darn English teachers and their speeches.
Didn't they know we had to record tonight?
I know. She might have procrastinated. I don't know.
No, surely
Never a child.
Surely not.
Ooh, here we go. Starting off right away. What drives the passions you and Chey have to amplify voices?
What drives the passions to amplify voices? Oh, that's a good question. And I think it goes back to why we wrote our children's book, The Magnificent Microphone. Chey and I have very, very different upbringings. Chey grew up in Ottawa, Ontario. I grew up in a suburb in the north end of Toronto, Ontario. And the both of us have just very, very vastly different lived experiences. And I'm a first generation Canadian. My parents emigrated here from India in the 70s. I was born in Toronto. So growing up as a first generation Canadian, it was navigating, life and society in Toronto was a little bit different from me than what it would have been like for Chey. And there were reasons why I felt like I wasn't necessarily being heard growing up as a child, growing up as a teenager, as a young adult, and even into adulthood. And Chey has his own reasons for feeling like he wasn't being heard. Growing up and being a rambunctious boy and feeling like teachers were never taking him seriously, his classmates not taking him seriously. And this is, the story that we tell in The Magnificent Microphone. So we talk a lot about reasons why we felt we weren't being heard. And so we wanted to write this book to share with students and teachers that many people come into this world and go through life feeling like they're not being heard for a variety of different reasons. And so the importance of podcasting for us is to not only share what we have to say and knowing that there's going to be an audience for whatever it is that we have to say, but podcasting becomes a way to amplify voice. And so whether you go into it on your own will or whether it's something that is being offered to you in school as a extracurricular or as something that's part of the curriculum, that is one way that Chey and I have been able to amplify student voices. And so it really, what drives us, it's the way that our voices have been amplified through our own podcasting journey. that we felt like this is a really great way for students who often feel like they're not being heard by the people that are around them to share their voice, and for the peers and the teachers that are around them to really be able to amplify it by using those podcast recordings, or whether you choose to blog or whether you choose to draw and doodle. You're sharing your voice in a very important and meaningful way, and it's our job to help you amplify it. So that really is what drove us to do that, and continues to drive us to share our own voice and to share the voices of the students that are around us.
I like that a lot. I like that. I have found myself thinking about that more. I work with students who have IEPs, and so I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. And I've started finding myself, actually, I've started finding that for my own self, because I'm reaching my 25-year mark of teaching. And I have found that we carry around so many secrets and stories, even as educators, that we often don't share, and I found myself going into next year thinking, how can I share the things that I know to help a future generation of educators? But that's also brought me back to my students and how, I can find a safe way for them to tell their stories. Because you're right. The more you think about that opportunity for students, the more it starts to get you thinking about how powerful it really can be.
Exactly. And you said something very important there, as well as the safety aspect.
Yeah.
Like, many children grow up without having that safety or that feeling of safety in sharing what they have to say, because in many cases what they have to say can be weaponized against them in many different ways. And so there's definitely fear in sharing your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings, especially in this world of social media. And so it is sometimes difficult to be able to get what you have to say out there. And how can we do that in a safe manner where everybody is respectful of the thoughts and the opinions that you have to share, and you're sharing them in ways that are respectful of those that are listening. So I think that that's an important point as well. So yeah, there's lots about sharing voice that we've learned over our journey. We've been podcasting for 5 years now, and lots that we have learned about this process, and lots that we have learned watching students do their incredible work as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I might have to pick your brain on the safety part later. I'll just
for sure.
whip up an email and I'll pick Pav's brain, because I am genuinely curious about that. How we can make sure it is safe. So
yeah, we've talked a lot about things like cancel culture, and how do we feel about cancel culture, and do we live in a world where we can be free of having a fear of that, and what kinds of things do people have to say in order to be canceled, and whether you're on one side of it or the other, it's a reality that this is something that could happen to you, or could happen to somebody that or somebody that you follow says something that is just totally out of line, and what are you going to do about that? And so there's a real need for an understanding of what you say and what you put out there, as part of digital citizenship. And so yeah, the safety aspect, I think it works in several different ways. We could definitely get into it a little bit deeper, or go into it another time, and chat about that. But I think it's safety in what you are consuming, and then also safety in what you are putting out into the world, and feeling safe enough to share your story. Because ultimately it should be about sharing your story and who you are, but how it's received by other people can vary. And so we want students to feel like they are safe in sharing their story.
100%. 100%. I like that you brought that up too, and that's, as important as their story and their voice,
Right.
Because I think they come, it's like two sides, right, of the coin that you have to value, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's nice to get, bang for your buck for a story, but we also want to make sure that we take into consideration the other part of it too. I like that.
Absolutely.
A lot. All right. We started off deep. Let's see what the bowl has next for us.
Okay.
We call it the bowl that knows because that's where we needed to go
That's
first.
where we needed to go. That's
where we needed to go. Well, I needed it. I don't know if the rest of the world did, but like Pav just filled up my heart, because I was telling my children, they're like my sounding board when we're driving around, and I'm like, I have this idea for next year, and I'm like, I'm scared. And they brought up the same thing. They're like, Mom, it's cancel culture. That's what you're scared of. I'm like, I'm terrified of sharing my ideas I do in my classroom. And I've been doing this for a long time. Like, this is my first rodeo on YouTube, right? But I'm still scared.
Yeah.
Because like, what if I say the wrong thing? And my kids are like, well, Mom, you'll just show them that you learn and you'll fix it. But it's like, but you're right. Cancel culture it's a real thing. And it's like a new whisper in your head. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of a new voice that can nitpick at you.
It can nitpick, and then it can also deter many people from even engaging in storytelling.
Agreed.
And I think that that's where it becomes a little bit of a problem. I think that we need to be teaching students how to engage in conversation with one another and setting those community norms of how to have discussions with one another in a brave space, not necessarily a safe space, because no space is safe for everybody that's in it. Everybody has different experiences that are coming into that room. And so I think that it's important to be able to teach students how to have difficult conversations without feeling the need to shut one another down immediately. Like we all have different values. We all have different viewpoints. We come into this room and this scenario with many different lived experiences. And so they are going to inform us in many different ways. And so how can we bring those viewpoints together to have meaningful conversation? Not necessarily for a solution, but the goal is to work towards a solution to whatever problems that may arise. And so I think that this cancel culture is just a way of shutting down conversation. And we don't want that. We want it to, continue to grow and to thrive and to be able to continue to talk to one another. So it's a real fear. And I'm not going to say that it's not something that, it's not something that doesn't exist. It is. It's very real. But I think that within classrooms, if we are setting up those community norms and those ways of having courageous conversations, I think that's where it all really begins.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. And that's the only way the world is going to improve and life is going to better itself, is if we stop stepping away from the hard conversations instead lean into them with really good skills for having good conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Really important. I like that. All right. I pulled another one. Pav, if your life was a reality show, what would it be called?
Oh my gosh. Hey, think about this for a second. I know the theme. I'm trying to think of a clever title.
I love that.
I'm impressed.
Me too. I love that already.
I think it would be called In the Nick of Time.
I love it.
In the nick of time, because Pav is doing everything last minute because there are so many things to do. So we'll call it In the Nick of Time. Since this podcasting journey began 5 years ago with Chey and myself, I have found myself to be so busy, but it's busy in the best possible way. So there's always something to do. There's always something that needs to be done, something that needs to be edited, something that needs to be recorded. And I feel completely blessed that those things that I need to do exist, like completely blessed that there's always something to work on. Chey and I have been gifted with opportunity after opportunity, and we are so grateful to be able to work on these passions of ours. And it took me till my late 30s to discover this passion, and I found myself to be busy in the best possible way. So there's always something to do. I never have enough time to do it. I'm always finishing it last minute, like right in the nick of time. So that is probably what I would call this reality. You just see Pav racing from one thing to the next, and there would be a timer on the screen to see if Pav finishes all the things that she needs to do before the end of the show.
I love it. And I can 1,000% relate to your entire story, to finding the passion, to feeling blessed and genuinely, lucky to love what you're doing, and also just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
I tell people, what's the due date?
Yeah.
The due date.
The due date.
Because if I know the due date, then I know when it's due. Otherwise, it's because something else is going to get pushed ahead of it,
Mm-hmm. And which is totally fine. I mean, I think that when you find what works for you,
yeah,
it's okay as long as it gets done and it's done within the time frame that is required. I can't say that I don't procrastinate, because I do. If I really need to just watch that show and not do all the things, I probably will do that. But then the things also get done, because as we mentioned, these are real passions, and they're real. They offer me a lot of fulfillment, and it's never that I don't want to do it. It's just sometimes your brain just needs to turn off a little bit and get back to it at another time. But yeah, things are always just all over the place. And some days are worse than others. Some weeks are worse than others, but we go with the flow, and we do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And it always gets done.
Agreed. I would say this stuff always gets done. I would say my kitchen getting mopped or my living room I'd rather not do those things. So the other stuff definitely gets done.
That's right.
It fills me up, but the cleaning the house, no. I can wait a second.
No, it's the things that you want to get done that get done.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's not just me. When you said that, I'm like, oh, there's some validation now.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to go out and mow my lawn, and it's been about 2 weeks of me saying that. So
oh, so fun. I love that.
I'm loving the artwork so far. Like I said, I am just like reading. I'm like getting in close to see everything. So it's really cool. You both are so talented. It's great.
Thank you. Well, I mean, as easy as the words come out of your brain, when because Mandy and I both listen to The Drive, and we've listened to you two chat. As easy as that happens for you, this happens for us. So it's just a different medium. Really.
I love it. That's great.
Thank you. And we've been doing this for a long time too. So that's the difference also.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what's next. We have been told that you can leg press 5 plates. Take us through what makes a great leg day.
Oh my gosh. 5 plates. Yes, I have hit a pretty good leg weight. But again, there's some drive there as well. I tore my ACL about 1.5 years ago in martial arts, in Muay Thai. And it was devastating for me. I didn't think it was that bad. If you've ever torn an ACL, it's like immediate pain, but then it subsides, and then you're like walking around again. You just can't bend your knee as much as you were able to before. So something's wrong, but you're able to walk around. So I actually finished my class, and I shouldn't have, the day that I tore my ACL. And then immediately the day after, there was swelling and it was pain, and then that subsided. And then I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, the way you're moving around, I don't think it's a torn ACL. I think it's got to be just like a sprain or something, but we're going to send you for an MRI just to be sure. So I got my MRI appointment, had it done, went back to the doctor, and he goes, oh yeah, it's completely torn. Like, it's gone. And so I was devastated. So obviously I wasn't able to go back to martial arts for a while. It was during COVID, the tail end of COVID. So these operations hadn't picked back up yet. And so I had to wait about 3 or 4 months to get a date for my surgery. So I had the surgery last year in June. And probably about maybe 7 months afterwards is when I started doing more leg exercises and really building on my leg strength. And I was determined to get my knee back to where it was before. I was terrified that this is it. This is the end of my knee, and it's just going to be like just getting by and managing for the rest of my life. I don't want that. My grandmother had both of her knees replaced, and I just didn't want to be in that situation. And so I was absolutely, and I still am absolutely terrified of being in that position where I'm immobile. I'm not able to be active. As you mentioned in my bio, my degree is in kinesiology and health science. So I've always been a very active person. And so it was very important to me to get my knee strength back to where, or get my knee back to where it was in terms of mobility. And so I was very determined to get the strength around my knee as strong as it possibly could be. And so I've been slowly getting higher and higher in the leg press and other leg exercises, deadlifting and squatting. And I've been doing all of that and getting really good at it. And I think, yeah, I've built up a strength that I didn't have even before the injury, which is pretty incredible that I was able to get to that point. But that's always been something that's very important to me, is being active and also continuing to build on that strength. I was never a strength person before, but I've done a lot of research. I am getting a little older, and I do want to make sure that I'm maintaining that bone health. And so so I am doing a lot more strength training and not as much cardio as I was before. Have not gone back to Muay Thai yet. I'm still a little nervous because of the pivoting and the turning that needs to happen. So I may or may not go back. My children are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so they train at the same place where I was training. And so I've been thinking about maybe dabbling with the Jiu-Jitsu, but again, there's a lot of pivoting and turning and a lot of twisting in Jiu-Jitsu as well. So I'm not sure if that's my place yet. I'm just going to continue lifting and see where that strength journey takes me. But I am pretty proud of where I've gotten with that. And Chey also had a knee injury a few years ago, and he's really helped me through all of that as well. So it's been really nice to be able to have someone that knows how to, that has gone through the trauma of that knee injury and has been able to tell me what's supposed to happen next. I have a tendency to be a little bit paranoid and say things like, I'm never going to do X, Y, and Z again. And he's like, you will, just give it a little bit of time. So that's been really important and helpful to me. So yeah, I love to be active. I love to, build on my strength. Now that I see that it's happening, it's like such motivation to just keep doing it and get higher and higher. 5 plates doesn't happen every single time. That is so far the max.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
I can 100% relate to the increasing your strength training and decreasing your cardio. That has had to happen in my journey as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it injury related?
It was not. Mine is age related. As I got older,
Yeah.
cardio wasn't working the way that it used to. And so
Right.
I added more strength and just cut back some on the cardio. So we're still on that journey, but it
Yeah,
is exciting when you start feeling stronger and
totally. Really great. It's so important, and it's good for everything. It's not just good for the strength itself.
Yeah, it's good for the
To
mind
the
also.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
These are some great questions.
Oh, thank you. The bull is doing very well.
Yes.
the bull is doing well.
Oh, okay. But they're interesting questions today. What is the hardest and easiest thing about being an adult?
Oh.
I know, right?
I would say that the hardest thing is when you recognize that you can't defer things to other people.
Yes.
Like, you're the person that's got to do it. And so it falls back on you. So if the kids aren't going to do it, well, it's going to be you. If um I would say it's that. So the accountability, right? So it always lands on you in the end as the adult. Um yeah, I would say that that's a tough thing, because I'd love to sometimes just be like, I don't feel like doing that today. I'm just gonna wait for somebody else to do it and somebody else to pick it up. That doesn't happen ever. So I would say that's a tough thing.
Agreed.
What's the easiest thing? I don't know. Is there anything easy about adulting?
I was thinking
There are
about,
some days I think no. Well,
Yeah.
actually, there are a lot of days I think no.
I mean, I guess really like we have some more control than our kids do, right? It's like if we
Mhm.
really wanted to eat whatever we wanted to eat, nobody
Yeah.
really could tell us no.
No, but your body will tell you no the
For
next
sure.
day.
For sure. Yeah.
Um,
No, 100%.
yeah, no, but you're right. I was going to say just before you said that, access.
Mhm.
You've got access to everything. So there's no one stopping you from doing anything. You're
You're
the
right.
Yeah, you can do whatever it is that you want to do, whether or not you should.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's easy and hard at the same time, because that can become a problem. Um, hopefully it doesn't, and there's some self-regulation in there in the mix, but that can be it can be challenging, but definitely makes makes it easier to do the things you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will add that it can take time for you to get to a point where you are comfortable with the access that you have, depending on your upbringing, depending
Mm,
on the kind of access you had growing up. So I think that even though you may have that access, it's available. Everything is available to you. I think that many times people stop themselves from enjoying many of the things that they're able to have access to because of the way that they were raised, or the people they were raised by, or I'm thinking about myself and being a first generation Canadian, having South Asian parents. There were many things that as an adult, 18, 19, 20, I had access to, but I stopped myself from engaging in because of what was expected of me.
mhm.
So there's some interesting stuff there to even explore in my own mind. Triggered some thoughts.
Yeah, no, I was even thinking just us being female too, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You should have access to a lot more than we give ourselves access to, or that others give us access to.
Right. Or how we were raised,
Yeah,
depending on how we were raised. Um, our access might change throughout as we
right,
grow, or what we take advantage of.
right. Or perceived access.
Yes.
Yeah. So myself growing up, I didn't think I have as much access as I did. Um, and even if I did have that access and I recognized that I had that access, being able to let myself do those things.
Mhm.
There was always that voice in the back of your head, you shouldn't be doing that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
no, I've thought about some of that stuff recently too, or like the woman's role is this,
yeah,
and should I be sharing this with my husband because, no, that's my job to do it. But no, it's
right.
okay to, I feel like that's similar to what we're talking about too.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're a person of color,
Mhm.
there's different denial of access, um, both from those that are around you and what you allow yourself to engage in as well. because of those same perceived notions of what you should and shouldn't be able to do. And that takes time to unlearn. And I think that being a woman or being a person of color, being a racialized individual, those are things that you really have to work on internally and unlearn some of those behaviors and some of those thoughts, but also take a look at all of those systems of oppression and why they exist the way they do. And so that it can get pretty tough. How did we get here? Talking,
I love it.
We were supposed to be talking about things that are easy for adults.
No, but I love that this piece of you is being shared, and I think it's important, and it's good for Mandy and I to hear too. Because I was even thinking too, like, because I think this is conversations educators are having more frequently too. So, you know, it's and like we talked about having conversations and being good at them. This is something that we all have to practice, you know, being a part of too. I also think that how much trauma you have related to your access, you know, is also going to allow you to step into it, or, you know, that's besides the upbringing, right? There's other parts that you're going to have to work through to be able to access things.
Absolutely. And that would differ for every single person.
For sure.
Trauma can be absolutely devastating. Working through becoming an adult, and navigating that access for ourselves. So yeah, you raise a really great point there, Carrie. That's so beautiful.
Thank you. I need to make, I know somebody out there because I've seen them before, but I love to say, today I adulted.
Yeah, today I adulted.
I had a student eating lunch in my room during my plan time, and I called to make several doctor's appointments, and I looked at him and I said his name, and I'm like, I adulted today, and he just looked at me like, are you okay? I said, I'm just being silly, you know. I made doctor's appointments, and even adults don't like doing that. And
yeah, that's right.
I did an adult thing today, and he just went, you know, like, okay, lady, I like you, but you're still weird.
Yeah.
My children, because my children are 20 and older, and they tell me all the time, Mom, I don't like adulting.
No,
I don't like it either.
no,
It is hard.
it is hard. Like I said, you have to, like, I can't leave the doctor's appointments to my mom to do.
Right,
I wish I
right?
could. Mom, can you make me a doctor's appointment for, you know,
Right.
X, Y, and Z reason? Like, it's not going to happen. There's no one else that's going to do it. It has to be me.
I know. I hear you. So many things.
Yeah.
Okay. Elephant trunks have mad skills. They communicate with them through vibrations. But why do you love elephants?
Why do I love elephants? There's just something so majestic about them. It's the grace, and it's juxtaposed with their size. You know, like they're
Yes.
not supposed to be graceful creatures, and they're not supposed to be, you know, these absolutely caring mothers, and the images that you see with elephants with their young, I just find it to be so graceful. And it's such an interesting characteristic for something that's just so large and so, you know, you think about looking at the size of the elephant. It should be clunky. It shouldn't be, you know, showing those motherly instincts the way that it does. And so I think it's that juxtaposition that I actually really love about elephants. And I didn't even like it. I'd never made the connection to the versatility of the trunk. But now that you have brought that up, yeah, they're absolutely very versatile, like I am.
You are versatile. You are.
I've grown to be. So I think that that's really what draws me. Like, there's no time that I have been around elephants or that I have seen pictures or videos or documentaries about elephants that I just didn't feel completely in awe of them. And I think that that's really, it's a very visceral and emotional connection that I have. And it's really a very simple thing. Like, it's not even anything deeper than that. It's just, I think they're beautiful creatures, and I think that for the size of them, I love to see how graceful they are. I'm sure there are times that they're not graceful, especially when they're stampeding. But I think that that is such a beautiful thing and a lovely characteristic about elephants. And it was a little bit later in life that I was like, elephants are beautiful creatures. I think it was after my kids were born that I just found this affinity towards them. But I love them. I think they're gorgeous, and my home has a number of elephants in them, in it, and so it's something that I love to just collect. Love that people know that about me, and share those things with me. You know, I've had some people who were listening to the drive and to the earlier Chey and Pav show, the staff room, when it was called the staff room podcast, um, would send me stuff with elephants.
Isn't that fun?
And yeah, and it became almost like like a characteristic or something that, people would think of me and think of the elephant. And I found that to be very flattering, that when you look at this image, you think about me, or you think that I may enjoy it. And
Mhm.
and I found that to be very flattering. So I almost engaged with that a little bit more. So every time I bought something that had a elephant, I would share it. I would post a picture about it, or I was like, oh, my love of elephant grows, continues. And it just it allowed me to connect with listeners on a little bit of a personal level, which I always love when that happens, when people are going beyond the content and want to know a little bit more about you as a person. And
Yes.
there are things about you that they pay attention to, and it was never in intention for people to know us personally. We were sharing our content and our thoughts, and people connect with you. And I always thought that that was a really beautiful thing.
Mhm.
How you can connect with somebody when you've never met them. You can become friends with them.
Mhm.
um, and you've just had this connection that's existed by social media or by consuming content or sharing content. And I think that was a really nice connection. That was something really cool that came out of it. And even now I feel that sort of flattery that these things about me, and that there's somebody out there that's paying attention to the things that I am saying. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing, and it leaves me feeling very, very flattered.
I think that's also the time, at least in my experience with, especially with this show, I did, what was it, Mandy, 2 or 3 years with Annabeth before we started together. And it's when you get those people that start to get to know you as a person. I think that's really what brings this space to like a whole other level,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
it
it
makes
makes
it
it all
real.
worth it. Like we could have 5 viewers, but they're 5 of the most special viewers that are ever there. They're always there. So yeah, it makes it really special.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it gives the work that you're doing a little bit of a different kind of validation.
For sure.
Yeah, that somebody's connecting, and it's not just, like reading an article, or or listening to a generic podcast, like an informational podcast.
Right.
And it's partly the reason why Che and I share things about ourselves, or we engage in that very casual conversation on the podcast. Um, because we like that connection. We like that people are paying attention to the things that we say that are not even related to education,
Mhm.
and they connect with those things.
Mhm.
As I tell Shay all the time, I like that because when I listen to a podcast, I love those parts of a podcast. I love to get to know the hosts. I
Mhm.
love when they interact with each other in a silly way or in a goofy way, it makes them real. It makes them like actual people that I can relate to, and not just somebody on this upper echelon that I could never reach. And I think it's that approachability that we want to be able to put out there, so that people do say, hey, I know that you love elephants, or I know that you love to lift weights. Like, that makes me approachable to somebody else. And I think when it comes to building personal connections with people, and building community,
Yep.
those are the things that matter. Is the person that you're in the room with someone that you can actually see yourself building a connection with? And
Yes.
so that is that's what I love about that.
I agree. That's the reason why I love this space as well. It's yeah, relationships are,
Yeah.
they're so, we go into this, I think, or at least, I think being brave, right? We have a mission that we want, something that we want to do. And I think when it happens, like what you shared about and what we've experienced, it ends up being because we've always wanted a community, and that's what it's given back to. And that's when it's really, really special. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. You feel like you belong.
Yes, and we have people that, yeah, that value us and our stories and
Right.
us as human beings. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
And so you have a space, you have a place to be.
for sure.
You have people that love and appreciate you.
Mhm.
And you belong. You belong
Yeah.
in this world. You belong in the community. You
Mhm.
belong with those people that love you.
Yeah, and then I think, I'm sure you've experienced it with the podcast. I think first you start off with bravery, you have your community, you feel safe, and then vulnerability happens, and
Yeah.
then that's where that really deep, genuine connection
Right.
happens, and I think that's where it also just becomes really special too.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah, it makes you it's just a really wonderful feeling.
It is. And I think it's something that you have to actually experience to know what that really feels like. And that's part of the reason why we encourage students to share, and part of the reason why we encourage that amplification. Because when you experience that feeling, it changes you. It
You're right.
changes you as a person.
It does.
Yeah. Um,
That was
and
kind of the theme of my dissertation. That didn't have to do with podcasts. It had to do with teachers interacting on social networks.
right.
But it can increase their self-efficacy.
Yeah.
I mean, just, having that connection with others and that sense of belonging and having that access. And so as I listen to it, I'm like, I love to hear other people say the same things that you
Yeah.
think, or the same things that you have
Absolutely. Yeah.
experienced.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mandy. It's so beautiful.
All right. If you could take us out for a great day with you in Rexdale, Ontario, Canada, what would that look like?
Oh, in Rexdale, Ontario. So Rexdale is a very
surrounding
small.
areas. Yes.
So yeah, Rexdale is a neighborhood, like a community in
Okay.
the northwestern part of Toronto. So Toronto is made up of 5 boroughs, similar to the way that New York is made up. So
Okay.
these 5 different boroughs have amalgamated to form the city of Toronto. And one of the boroughs is Etobicoke. So and it goes all along the west side of Toronto. So it's the entire left border of the west border of Toronto. And Rexdale is the northernmost part of that borough. So it's like the very corner of Toronto. And I live within walking distance now of the hospital that I was born in.
Oh,
And
fun.
so
That
it's like it's all come first circle. I was born, I was raised, and then I moved away, like not super far, but like away, and then I came back because like this just home is home, and I'm still teaching in the community and just being close to home, being close to the school and being part of that community was always very important to me. So I've seen Rexdale change a lot from when I was born, when I grew up, when I became an adult, those formative years. I've seen it change and then when I left and came back, like there were changes again, and it continues to change very much so over the course of recent years. So there are some parts of Rexdale that are just very simply very, very meaningful to me because the school that middle school that I went to is the first school that I actually taught at when I started my teaching career. So that was something that was just so meaningful to be able to be in that space, but in a different role. Then there are like restaurants and places where we would frequent when we were young, some that still exist today and some that have changed. And so the spaces have changed a lot. There's an area that's very close to the school that I teach at now. It's like a little India bazaar kind of corner. And that intersection has a number of Indian restaurants, jewelers, clothing stores, and we will still frequent that area when we need some things from that community. Like when I need to buy a new outfit, I will go to those stores, and it's nice to see that some of those stores still exist. Or a jeweler where my mom and I always used to go and shop for new jewelry, and it's nice that store still exists. So for me, Rexdale is it's all memory there. It's the space that made me and who I am. And I love connecting I'm still very close friends with many of the people that I grew up with in elementary school and middle school. And so we all share many of those formative memories together. And so I think that Rexdale, I don't know that I would take anyone who was touring Toronto for the first time to a lot of places in Rexdale. But if you want to know more about what made me, there's definitely places where I would take you. My neighborhood, where I had so many friendships that formed when I was young, and then the community just changed completely, and you watched people move away and new people enter the community. The neighbors that live across the street from my parents, there's 5 houses in that row, and 2 out of the 5 still have the original owners from when we moved in. So they've seen all the weddings happen in our house. We've
Yes.
seen all the weddings and the grandchildren being born in their house. And it's just such a lovely thing to have that as a continuing memory, like something that you remember happening, but it's still happening. Like it's still part of the journey. And then, of course, my middle school where I started teaching, the stores that we used to shop at, the mall where we all used to go to when we were young, and we would walk. I live across the street from that mall now, and so it's cool that I'm still in that space. And then, of course, like I would walk you through the entire neighborhood and tell you how everything has changed in the last. And then this is what's happening here now, and there's going to be a casino built there, and there's going to be this there, and so just it's really nice to see it change. There's some parts of it that I wish hadn't changed, but it's cool to see the neighborhood flourish and grow, and the new people that call this community home, and that have found solace and found it to be their space, their community now. And I love to see that, because it's a beautiful space. And there's a trail that goes behind my backyard, and it's all just very green and beautiful. And I have a cousin that's visiting me right now from Australia. My aunt and my cousin came to visit, and they were over at the house yesterday. And we were in the backyard, just on the deck, and we're we're just kind of hanging out on the deck, and you can't see anybody down on the trail because it's all very green now and the trees are all full and lush. But you can hear kids playing. And so it was very, very quiet, and all you could hear were birds chirping and singing their songs. And then suddenly you hear kids' laughter. And my cousin turned to me and he said, "Is there a park down there? Because all I see is treetops." And I said, "Yeah, actually, there's a trail that just goes around like the corner. You can walk down to there's a river that goes through there, and there's a trail along there. So you'll hear kids riding their bikes down the trail, and you'll hear that laughter." And he's like, "Wow, that's so cool." It's really cool that you can't see that laughter, but you can hear it. So you know it's there. You know that there's joy down there. And I was just like, wow, I never really thought of it that way. I guess because I always knew that the trail was there. But if you're somebody and you're just looking at this forest, you don't know what that forest holds down there. And so when he heard that laughter, he was almost surprised that there were kids down there playing. But yeah, they're the simple things. Rexdale is about the simple things that just remind me of when I was young, and that bring me that same joy.
I love that.
I love it.
Do you have room for one more, Mandy?
I can probably squeeze it in.
I think I can too. Let's see. Oh, this is a perfect ending. Describe being a mom in 4 words.
Oh, in 4 words. That's not enough words. 4 words. Well, the first word that comes to my mind is just, I don't know if this counts as 2 words, but unconditional love.
Yes.
There's just something that you have not experienced it until you have felt that love. That it's just, I'm thinking about these kids even when they are not around, when they are, at school, dreaming about them. They're always there, but in like the best possible way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're always there in not so good of a way, but yeah, that unconditional love. I would say busy has to be up there as a very close number 2, because again, it never ends. There's always something going on. And there's activities, or there's homework, or there's food. Gosh, the food never ends.
I know. For dinner.
Oh my gosh, you finish one meal and it's like time for the next.
I know. Agreed.
Joy.
Yeah,
everything that I see them do just brings me so much joy. Even the difficult learning that they go through, when I see them accomplish something that was very difficult for them,
Mm-hmm.
Or they recover from something that was hard for them, that just brings me so much happiness. Like it's I guess it links with the unconditional love part. It just, like, everything they do just makes me so happy. And I love that. And a 4th word. Laundry.
Yes. Everything's folded in my house.
Yeah. Why is there so much laundry?
So much, and so many dishes. They keep getting dirty.
Yeah.
You have to wash them again.
It's like you turn around and there's another dish in the sink, but I just did this. And the laundry, it's just like you'll do 5 loads, one right after the other, and then it's just the next day it's back again. And so we're working on wearing things more than once.
Yes.
And that's why is it such a difficult thing? Like they're jeans. You don't need to put them in the laundry every single time you wear them. or hoodies. And so, yeah, I wish the laundry would stop just even for a day.
I know, right?
Yeah. So those are my words: unconditional love, joy, busy, and laundry.
I love it.
I think it's perfect.
I do think it's perfect. So much fun.
Oh my God, I love this.
Let's drink it out of the light. I'm gonna have to get my glare taken care of.
It's just
I
it's
love
double halos for Pav.
It's all right. I love it.
Wait, I don't usually have to do this. I'm usually spoiled.
Oh wow, this is gorgeous.
First time elephant, Pav.
Oh,
Unlocked
amazing.
I don't know, achievement point. That's not my favorite either. Well, Mandy just went for the trunk.
I did.
I tried for the head, and then I ended up drawing these really bad legs.
No, I love it. It's beautiful. It's the most majestic elephant.
It was really hard for me to like not scribble that out. It was just like this.
No, I'm glad you didn't. I love it.
Thank
It's beautiful.
you. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday night with us, Pav.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely conversation. It was lovely. So thank you. And I loved watching you draw and doodle. I didn't get very far and I knew it would happen.
Well, we were just captivated by all of your stories and lots of stuff that just really hit me in my heart and brought lots of emotions. And I feel like I needed that tonight. And that is just really special for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that.
And then for our friends that were here with us, if you drew and doodled and chatted with us or doodled with us, share your doodle and chat out on Twitter using hashtag doodle and chat so we can see all the fun that you had with us. And then we will see everybody back here next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then people should be on, or doodle and chat friends should be on the lookout, because starting in June, we are going back to our roots Saturday mornings at 9:33ish. So, and we have lots of other fun things for people to be a part of. So if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, the link is in our show notes, and you'll never miss any of the Doodle and Chat fun. Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight, and have a great rest of your week.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.